Book of Heaven, Volume 2, page 117 to 122. October 16, 1899, Waiting for Jesus. Jesus speaks about chastisements. This morning my sweet Jesus was not coming. I had not seen him since last night, when he showed himself with an appearance that moved one to pity and struck fear at the same time. He wanted to hide so as not to see the chastisements which he himself was sending over the people and the way in which he was to destroy them. Oh, God, what a harrowing sight, never before seen! While waiting and waiting, in my interior I kept saying, how is it that he is not coming? Who knows whether he does not come because I do not conform to his justice? But how can I do this? It seems almost impossible for me to say fiat voluntas tua. Then, again, I kept saying, he is not coming because the confessor is not sending him to me. Now, while I was thinking of this, I just barely saw him, almost a shadow, and he told me, do not fear, the authority of priests is limited. According to the measure in which they are willing to pray me to come to you, and to offer you as victim to make you suffer so that I may spare the people, so will I heal them and spare them in the act in which I send the chastisements. If then they don't give it a thought, neither will I have any regard for them. Having said this, he disappeared, leaving me in a sea of affliction and of tears. October 21, 1899, Earthly goods must serve for the sanctification of man, not as his idols. The cause of chastisements. After going through most bitter days of privation, I was feeling tired and exhausted in my strength, though I kept offering those very pains, saying, Lord, you know how much being deprived of you costs me, but I resign myself to your most holy will, offering this most bitter pain as a means to prove my love and to placate you. These bothers, annoyances, wearinesses, coldnesses that I feel, I intend to send you as messengers of praises and of reparations for myself and for all creatures. This I have, and this I offer you. Surely you accept the sacrifice of the good will, when one offers you what he can with no reserve, but come, for I can take no more. Oftentimes I had the temptation to conform to justice, thinking that I myself was the cause of his not coming. In fact, in these past days, Jesus had told me that if I did not conform, I would force him not to come and not to tell me anything anymore so as not to grieve me. But I did not have the heart to do it, more so, since not even obedience consented to it. While I was amid these bitternesses, first a light came, with a voice saying, according to the measure in which man meddles in earthly things, so does he move away and lose esteem for eternal goods. I gave riches that they might use them for their sanctification, but they have used them to offend me and to form an idol for their hearts, and I will destroy them, and their riches together with them. After this, I saw my dearest Jesus, but so in suffering, offended and indignant with the people as to strike terror. Immediately I began to say to him, Lord, I offer you your wounds, your blood, the most holy use of your senses which you made during the course of your mortal life, to repair for the offenses and for the bad use of the senses which creatures make. And Jesus, assuming a serious look, almost thundering, said, do you know how the senses of creatures have become? Like the screams of fierce animals, which drive men away with their roars, not allowing them to draw near. The rot and the multiplicity of sins is such that it spurts from their senses, which force me to flee. And I, Lord, how indignant I see you. If you want to continue sending chastisements, I want to come, otherwise, I want to go out of this state. Why remain in it, since I can no longer offer myself as victim to spare the people? And he, addressing me with seriousness, so much so that I felt terrified, told me, you want to touch the two extremes, either you want me to do nothing or you want to come. Are you not content with the fact that people are spared in part? Do you think that Corrado is the best, and the least in offending me? Is the fact that I spared it compared to other towns something trivial? So, content yourself and calm yourself, and while I occupy myself with chastising the people, you accompany me with your sighs and with your sufferings, praying that the very chastisements may turn out for the conversion of the peoples. October 22, 1899, The Cross, a way strewn with stars. Jesus continues to make himself seen afflicted. The moment he came, he threw himself into my arms, totally exhausted, almost wanting refreshment. He shared with me a little bit of his sufferings, and then he told me, "My daughter, the way of the cross is a way strewn with stars, and as one walks through it, those stars change into most luminous suns. What will be the happiness of the soul for all eternity in being surrounded with these suns? Furthermore, the great reward I give to the cross is so great that there is no measure, either of width or of length. It is almost incomprehensible to the human minds, and this, because in bearing crosses, there can be nothing human, all is divine." October 24, 1899, The Cause of Chastisements, the Love of God for Creatures. This morning my adorable Jesus came and transported me outside of myself, into the midst of the people. Jesus seemed to look at creatures with eyes of compassion, and the very chastisements appeared as infinite mercies of his, come out of his inmost most loving heart. Then, turning to me, he told me, "My daughter, man is a product of the divine being, and since our food is love, always reciprocal, alike and constant among the three divine persons, since he came out of our hands and from pure and disinterested love, he is like a particle of our food. Now, this particle has become bitter for us, not only this, but the majority of them, by moving away from us, have made themselves pasture for the infernal flames and food for the implacable hatred of demons, our capital enemies and theirs. This is the main cause of our sorrow and the loss of souls. They are ours, they are something that belongs to us. Likewise, the cause that pushes me to chastise them is the great love that I have for them, so as to place their souls in safety. And Lord, it seems that this time you have no other words to say but about chastisements. Your power has other means to save these souls. And then, if I were certain that all the pain would fall upon them and you would remain free, without suffering in them, I would resign myself, but I see that you are already suffering very much from those chastisements you have sent. What will happen if you continue sending more chastisements? And Jesus, even though I suffer, love pushes me to send heavier scourges, and this, because in order to make man enter himself and recognize what his being is, there is no means more powerful than making him see himself undone. It seems that the other means make him grow bolder, therefore conform to my justice. I see well that the love you have for me pushes you very much not to conform to me, and you don't have the heart to see me suffer, but my mother too loved me more than all creatures, no one can equal her, and yet, in order to save these souls she conformed to justice and she resigned herself to see me suffer so much. If my mother did this, could you not do it yourself?" And as Jesus was speaking, I felt my will being drawn so much to his, that I was almost unable any more to withstand not conforming to his justice. I did not know what to say, so much was I convinced. However, I have not yet manifested my will. Jesus disappeared, and I remained in this doubt, whether I must conform or not. October 25, 1899, The Echo of the Love of God, and the Echo of the Ingratitude of Creatures. My most sweet Jesus continues to manifest himself almost always in the same way. This morning he added, "My daughter, my love toward creatures is so great that it resounds like an echo in the celestial regions, it fills the atmosphere and diffuses over the whole earth." But what is the correspondence that creatures give to this loving echo? They requite me with an echo of ingratitude, poisonous, filled with every kind of bitternesses and sins, with an echo almost deadly, fit only for wounding me. But I will depopulate the face of the earth, so that this echo resounding with poison may not deafen my ears. And I, Lord, what are you saying? And Jesus, I act just like a pitying doctor, who has the extreme remedies for his children, and these children are full of wounds. What does this father and doctor do, who loves his children more than his very life? Will he let these wounds become gangrenous? Will he let them die for fear that by applying fire and knife they may suffer? No, never. Even though he will feel as if those instruments were applied to himself, in spite of this, he grabs the knife, he rips and cuts the flesh, and he applies to it the poison, the fire, to prevent corruption from advancing further. Even though many times it happens that in these operations the poor children die, this was not the will of the Father Doctor, his will was to see them healed. So I am? I wound in order to heal them, I destroy them in order to resurrect them. If many perish, this is not my will, it is only the effect of their wickedness and obstinate will. It is the effect of this poisonous echo which they want to keep sending me to the point of seeing themselves destroyed. And I, tell me, my only good, how could I sweeten this poisonous echo for you which afflicts you so much? And he, the only means is that you always do all your actions with the sole purpose of pleasing me, and that you employ all your senses and powers for the purpose of loving me and of glorifying me. Let your every thought, word, and everything else want nothing but the love you have for me. In this way your echo will rise pleasant to my throne and will sweeten my hearing.